Welcome to this year's Virtual International Speech Contest. I am your contest chair, Karen Hewitt, the Program Quality Director and your host for this evening. Thank you, contestants, for preparing for our virtual contest. Each of us has grown to be a better version of ourselves. And on behalf of District 3, thank you. No contest can be conducted without the hard work of many individuals. Please join me in thanking our contest judges who are kept anonymous, as well as the ballot counters, timers, and anyone else who has assisted in making this contest successful. Zoom Master, can you please display the agenda for the evening? Thank you. And Zoom Master, could you please enable recording?
Recording is enabled.
Because this virtual contest is recorded, Toastmasters Internationals require that we read this statement. By attending this remote district speech contest, you agree to the privacy policy of Toastmasters International, as well as the unassociated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared messages may be shared with other meeting participants and will be recorded by Toastmasters International, who may use the recording in the future as it sees fit. Your remote attendance hereby discharges Toastmasters International from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liabilities arising out of in connection with the use or distribution of said video recordings, included, but not limited to, any claims for invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeness, or defamation. The recording of the winning speaker will be provided for the regional quarterfinals. Now, due to this, contestants, as we mentioned in the briefing, we will not be spotlighting the timer, and we will encourage you to use gallery view for timer visibility. Well, first, I want to just send a warm welcome. As we rise up to our summit this year, we're excited to see what our contestants have to offer, because our International Speech Contest is finally here. It is an exciting event, and we are in for a real treat. I do have a deep appreciation for the tremendous work that has brought each of you to this point today. The hard work you put in, the practice, the rehearsals, and the refinements you have made will hopefully pay off with you delivering the speech of your life. And to Toastmasters and guests at this event, observe their style, observe their technique, observe their passion. I know I will be. And before we begin the contest, I have a few reminders for our audience. At this time, your audio has been muted to avoid interruptions during the contest. And please note that the chat feature has been disabled for the duration of the contest to avoid influencing the judges and distracting the contestants. Please remain in your seat while on camera to reduce sudden movements in the speaker's view. Remember that even though you are on camera, even when you are not speaking, so please avoid any remarkable or embarrassing movements or facial expressions that may cause a distraction. During the 1 minute of silence between speakers, all audio lines will remain muted. We are going to ask all Zoom attendees to keep their video off to ensure the contestants are not experiencing internet delays if they're in the hotel. Chief Judge, are we ready for a contest?
Madam Contest Chair, we are ready for a contest.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chief Judge. Contestants, timers, and ballot counters have all been briefed prior to the beginning of this contest. Everyone is aware of the Toastmasters International rules that govern this contest. Let the contest begin. Our speakers today, in speaking order for the International Speech Contest, are first, Rianne Allard. Second, Anna Marie Harris. Third, Helen Chapman. Fourth, Lisa Piven. Fifth, Sarah Gale Galbraith. Sixth, Kelly Bradstreet. Seventh, Siobhan Moyer. The speakers have also added the contest and the order in which they speak to their name. There will be 1 minute of silence between each contestant. Timekeepers, when I advise you to do so, please signal me with the green background when 1 minute is up. After all contestants have spoken, the judges will be given all the time that they need to complete their ballots. Contestant number 1. Please acknowledge you are unmuted with a good evening contest chair.
Good evening, contest chair.
Fantastic. Thank you. Rhiannon Allard, my defining moment. My defining moment, Rhiannon Allard.
Good evening. All 4 years in high school, I ran cross country. I was neither the fastest nor the best runner on the team, but I enjoyed the camaraderie and school spirit. My coaches used to say, you will never feel bad for reaching your goals. You will only regret giving up and not trying harder. Madam Contest Chair, my fellow Toastmasters, and our welcome guests. In my sophomore year, my goal was to make the varsity team by the end of the season. I was a decent runner. I was ranked at the top of the junior varsity team, but again, I was not the star of the show. Making the varsity team and having that Letterman jacket was important to me. I felt it was a way to show my peers that I am an accomplished athlete.
Point of order.
I suppose there's a small part of me that also thought,
Chief Judge, I did not check the timing lights.
I'm sorry, contestant number 1. Karen, you mentioned you did not check the timing lights. Contestant 1, would we like to make sure that you can see the timer and have you begin again?
yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Please confirm when you can see the timer.
I can confirm that I can see the timer.
All right, Karen, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, and I apologize. Rhiannon Allard, my defining moment, Rhiannon Allard.
Good evening. All 4 years in high school, I ran cross country. I was neither the fastest nor the best runner on the team, but I enjoyed the camaraderie and school spirit. My coaches used to say, you will never feel bad for reaching your goals. You will only regret giving up and not trying harder. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and our welcome guests. In my sophomore year, my goal was to make the varsity team by the end of the season. I was a decent runner. I ranked at the top of the junior varsity team, but I was not the star of the show. Making the varsity team and having that Letterman jacket was important to me. I felt it was a way for me to show my peers that I am an accomplished athlete. I suppose a small part of me also thought the Letterman jacket would make me more popular or part of the cool kids group. I don't know about you, but for me, it was not always easy being a teenager in high school. All I knew is I really wanted those varsity letters, the sport, on my jacket. I remember it was March of 2000, one of the biggest races of the cross country season, and I was geared up, ready to rock and roll. That day was beautiful. The sky was clear and the sun was shining brightly. It was only a 3.5-mile course running up, down, around, and through mountainous terrain. Like any competition, there's always a sense of nervousness, anxiety, maybe even some jitters, but not on this day. Nope. On this day, I was feeling cool, calm, and collected. I was ready to take on any challenge that came my way. I situated myself at the starting line, and I shook the nerves out of my hands and took a long, deep breath. Bang! The gun shot off and the race began. I put my elbows out to create space from the congested mob of runners. And then I sprinted as fast as I could to get as close to the front of the pack as possible. Before I adjusted my pace, and then I started to slow my breath, and I settled on in. I was going to see to it that nobody was going to get past me. The entire race, I fixed my eyes straight ahead, and with each runner I was approaching from behind, I was bound and determined to get in front of them and stay in front of them. I knocked them off one by one, knowing I was working my way to the front. And all the while, I had still not let a single person pass me by. About 3.3 miles in, I could see the finish line. I could see a huge crowd of supporters jumping up and down. They were flailing their arms and directing me to the finish line. I can hear my teammates screaming, "You got this, Rhiannon! Go, Rhiannon, go!" Their tone was so enthusiastic, so encouraging. But I distinctly remember seeing my coach's expression, and he seemed a little more intense, more serious than everybody else. But I was soon able to make out what he was saying, and confidently and proudly he shouted, "Don't you give up now, Rhiannon. You gotta dig deep and finish strong." Oh, to this day, I still do not know what happened. It was 50 yards from the finish line with 100 people yelling and cheering me on. And what did I do? I stopped. Yes, you all heard me correctly. I stopped and I just started walking. I really don't know what I was thinking or why it happened. I suppose maybe there was a part of me that just lost confidence in my own abilities to cross the finish line a winner. Unbeknownst to me, believe it or not, at that very moment, I was in first place. I felt so ashamed. I let my team down. And more importantly, I let myself down. It was one of the most horrible experiences that I've ever had to endure, but it was also a defining moment in my life where I knew I would not give up on myself again. I realized the importance of setting goals, continuing to move forward, and always following your dreams. In fact, the following season, I dug deeper and I reached even higher. And I did make the varsity team in cross country, track, and even academics. My fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, if there is one thing that I have learned, it is you cannot let yesterday's mistakes define tomorrow's successes. Because when you believe in yourself, everything is possible. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Contestant, can you please ensure you can see the timing signal by giving me a thumbs up? Timekeepers, will you please cycle your timing signal now? Thank you. Contestant number 2, please acknowledge you are unmuted with a good evening contest chair.
Good evening, contest chair.
Thank you. Anna Marie Harris, again, we rise. Again, we rise. Anna Marie Harris.
They can write me down in history with their bitter, twisted lies. They can tread me in the very dirt, yet still, like dust, I'll rise. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and of course, welcome guests. The words of the late Maya Angelou have always had the ability to lift me up, to breathe fresh life into my existence. Even in my darkest hours, her words gave me the hope and the motivation to get back up and start moving forward once again. Let's be honest, the last 2 years have been hard on all of us. For me personally, there were moments when I felt emotionally, physically, spiritually, and above all else, mentally defeated. I wasn't sure I could even get back up and keep moving forward. But thanks to the love of some very special friends and the blessed resiliency of the human spirit, I can stand before you today, the new and improved Anna Marie. It's easy at times in your life when you're not living up to your potential, when you're not doing what you know you were put on this earth to do. You can begin thinking that the universe and the people in it are out to get you. Teetering on the sidelines of your own life, waiting for the other shoe to drop, wondering if someone or something's going to come running out of the background and kick you while you're down. Granted, that does happen every now and again, but for the most part, I've learned from experience that the universe and the people in it love a good comeback story. You know, the kind when the underdog comes from behind to leap over hurdles and bust through walls to become the amazing creature and the success we always knew he was. Look at Rocky Balboa. He got in the ring with that beast they called Apollo Creed. He got knocked down, sure, but he got back up again. In the end, he went 15 rounds with Apollo Creed. The win was given to Apollo, of course, but we all know who the true winner was. In our minds, Rocky was the hero. Was he the better fighter? Who's to say? But the fact is, he was willing to get back up and go the distance. We love him for that. Seabiscuit, touted as being one of the world's greatest racehorses of all times, began his career as a knock-kneed, lazy horse who didn't even finish his first 17 races. In fact, at one point, he was considered the laughingstock of the entire racing community. But he chose to get back on that track and keep running for the finish line. And he ended his career with an all-time win against War Admiral. And he ended as a success story, a world champion. Bilbo Baggins, Forrest Gump, Aaron Brockovich. When we met each one of these characters, they were facing what we would feel to be insurmountable odds. But because of their tenacity and their attitudes, they finished their careers, their lives, their sagas as true success stories. You see, it's not how many times you fall that matter. It's how many times you get back up again. That resiliency, the ability and desire to bounce back, is what separates greatness from mediocrity. Not everything we do is always going to work. We shouldn't let that stop us or discourage us. Look at Edison, the man who will forever be remembered as the father of modern light. Sure, we all hear about the light bulb and we all appreciate it. Now the lights can be on, even if nobody's home. But the fact is, he had hundreds of inventions that never even made it out of the laboratory. And yet, did he say he was a failure? Absolutely not. Edison believed that he hadn't failed. He just found 1,000 ways that didn't work. That's a powerful, powerful belief. You see, each and every one of us have within us a measure of greatness, a tiny light that when we latch onto it, it refuses to be extinguished and engulfed by the darkness that surrounds us at times. When we decide not to give up, when we resolve to get back in that ring and take another swing at life, when we're determined to get back on that track, keep our eyes on that prize, and start running for the finish line, we become absolutely unstoppable. At that moment, it really doesn't matter where we've been or the mistakes we've made. It's not nearly as important where we are right now or anything. The important thing is where we see ourselves and where we see ourselves in the future. There's always going to be naysayers. Nothing will ever be perfect. But when you make that decision to get back up and keep on going, it doesn't matter. They can stab us with their words. They can kill us with their lies. They can hit us with their hatefulness. But guess what, my friends? Still, much like the phoenix, will rise. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Contestant, please ensure you can see the timing signal with a thumbs up. Timekeepers, can you cycle your timing signals now, please? Contestant number 3, please acknowledge that you are unmuted with a good evening contest chair.
Good evening, contest chair.
Thank you. Helen Chapman, who is driving your bus? Who is driving your bus? Helen Chapman.
Welcome aboard. I'm delighted that you have come to join me on my journey. Please get on, buckle up, get comfortable, and prepare yourself for an enjoyable ride. I encourage you to take a look out the window at this beautiful day. Please share a smile or a kind word to the passengers on your left and right. Help me make someone's day brighter, just as you've made mine. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, esteemed guests, let me ask you a question. Who is driving your bus? Are you a driver or merely a passenger? This question was asked of me early on in my career. And at first, I found this question rather odd, but as time went on, I began to understand the gravity of what this statement really meant. You see, to be a driver means that you are in control. You have the ability to take the bus anywhere you want it to go. And I have learned that there are two kinds of people in this world. Those whose courses are charted and deliberate, and those who feel they have no say in where the bus is going or how it's going to get there. I made the decision early on to take control of the wheel, and although I at times have veered off course to take the scenic route, the drive toward my personal goals have kept me on the road. Now, I met Morris Blackwell in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I was a manager for a telecommunications company at the time, and I was sent to our sister site to implement a new mentor program I had created for the company. I was anxious and excited all at the same time. This was, in fact, my first big project since being promoted, and I wanted to make a good impression on the site's leadership team. Morris was a giant of a man, both in stature and in size. I only knew of him from his achievements often spoken of throughout our location back home. So to not only be in the same office, but to have to present and convince him of the success the program would yield was, to say the least, intimidating. My presentation was scheduled to be delivered the following day. My pitch: having a dedicated mentor team of employees who had the right skills would be a critical part of this program's success. This team would follow the new hires throughout the 6 weeks of curriculum, 2 weeks of on-the-job training, and then deliver them to their assigned supervisor, all the while offering coaching and feedback regarding their performance along the way. At the end of the presentation, I looked up and I saw faces wrinkled with questions and concerns. And then I saw the smile, a smile that emitted not just from the large, wide, toothy grin, but from his eyes. A smile that told me not only did he like the idea, he was impressed. It was in that moment I knew that this person was going to be an important part of my career. I spent the next several weeks getting their team of mentors developed and trained. Morris was the overseeing manager of the training and curriculum department, and I was able to spend a lot of time getting to know him and his leadership style. Despite his outward appearance, he was surprisingly affable. He created an open door policy that invited me to come in when I had questions. He encouraged me to think beyond the box and reminded me to always trust my instincts. And he introduced me to a book called The Energy Bus by author John Gordon. And this became the blueprint for my career and, dare I say, my life. During moments of apprehension or self-doubt, I would come to his office for counsel. He would listen intently. He would ask questions to ensure that he understood, but then he would always ask me, "Who is driving your bus?" And it was that simple statement that would set me back on course. Our partnership that launched from an idea that I had 3 years prior became a turning point in my career as he incorporated the rules from John Gordon's book, which Morris quoted often. Rule number 1, you are the driver of your bus. You control the journey. You have the ability to take it in any direction you choose to. Take the wheel and choose somewhere great. Rule number 2, desire, focus, vision will move your bus in the right direction. Thoughts are magnetic. We will always encounter roadblocks. However, it's how we choose to deal with those roadblocks that makes all the difference in the world. Rule number 3, fuel your ride with positive energy. You must keep fueling with positive energy so that the negative energy doesn't have room to expand. Rule number 4, drive with purpose. When you fuel up with purpose, you find the joy and passion in the everyday. Remember, you're driving the bus. You have the best view. And then rule number 5, have fun and enjoy the ride. Reflect more, take more risks, take more chances, leave a legacy. During my climb up the proverbial ladder, I have been mentored by several leaders. Some taught me on the job and what was expected. Others taught me lessons on how not to lead, or worse, the negative consequences of poor leadership. Morris took the time to ignite the passion for the ride. That by focusing on the positive, the view from the window seat is so much more satisfying and enjoyable. And as cliche as it may sound, that the journey can sometimes be more fun than the destination. Becoming a driver is your choice. It's the decision that sets us on the road to our personal success and our goals. It is one that I have taken and I have shared with many people since then. Now, Morris has passed away 8 years ago, but not a day goes by that I don't think of him fondly and give him thanks for handing me a set of keys. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Contestant number 4, please ensure you can see the timing signal. Timekeepers, will you please cycle your timing signals now? Contestant number 4, could you please start your video and ensure you can see the timing signal? Give me a thumbs up when you can. Fantastic. Contestant number 4, please acknowledge you are unmuted with a good evening contest chair.
Good evening, contest chair.
Thank you. Lisa Piven, where time slows down. Where time slows down, Lisa Piven.
Why do you go out of town so often? This was a question from my husband as I packed my bags for yet another trip. I'd been going out of town about every 6 weeks for a long weekend. I always made sure that our daughter had rides to her weekend activities. I thought my absences were pretty seamless. Why do you go out of town so often? This was the first time that he'd asked me point blank, and I didn't know how to respond. The place I go is about 2 hours away. When I'm there, I'll meet my aunt and uncle for dinner. I'll call up my cousin, we'll meet for a beer and just to catch up on things. And I always visit my 98-year-old grandma at her assisted living center. Stepping into that assisted living center, it's like stepping into another world. Time slows down. I'm no longer running around trying to get things done. I'm walking slowly with my grandma and her walker. And my mind isn't racing around thinking of all the things I have to do. I'm simply focused and present. The first thing you'll notice when you step into the assisted living building is the row of wheelchairs and walkers of all the residents waiting in the lobby, watching to see who's going to walk through the door next. I've gotten to know a lot of those residents. There's Dan in the wheelchair, his friend Darlene with her walking stick. And as we walk by them through those long, peaceful hallways, my grandma will say, "There's Dan. He doesn't have any legs." "Grandma, I can see that. He has ears." "There's Darlene. She can't see. Grandma, I know. I'm pretty sure she can hear. There's Bob. He always has a joke for me or anyone else who walks through the door. I've got a funny for you, Bob will say. 2 brooms get married. Mrs. Broom tells Mr. Broom, great news, we're going to have a baby broom. Mr. Broom says, well, that's impossible. We haven't even swept together yet. I laugh as though this is the funniest joke I've ever heard. In truth, I've heard it dozens of times before because Bob tells me the same joke every time I walk into the building and every time I leave, even if it's only 20 minutes later. One day I notice a visitor in the hallway. Bob goes up to him. I've got a funny for you. The man stops him. I don't have time to hear this joke again. And he walks by, leaving Bob standing alone in the hallway. He didn't have time to hear a 10-second joke. Another time, I noticed that the room next to my grandma's has a new name on it. Walter, the nameplate says. I knock on the door to say hi. Walter invites me in. I ask him about his accent. Is it Swedish? He nods. He tells me about his time working in Sweden and in Germany before he came to the US. I look around his new room and I notice on the wall there's 2 framed photographs. One is of a beautiful woman. She looks like a movie star. And the other is of a very handsome, well-dressed young man. I point to the photograph. Walter, is this you? He nods and he points proudly to the other photograph. That's my wife. And since he's moved to the assisted living center by himself, I decide that's a story for another day. When I visit my grandma, we'll play cards, we'll watch TV, we'll have lunch or dinner in the dining hall. She tells me stories about the different jobs she's had during World War II. Grandma never seems to forget a story, even at 98 years old. The pandemic put a halt to these visits. For over a year, the residents were on lockdown, no visitors. And when I could finally visit again, there was no Bob to tell me the joke about the brooms when I walked in. Where's Bob? Bob? Well, he's in the memory care unit now for residents with Alzheimer's. And there was no Dan in the wheelchair. Grandma, where's Dan? Dan? Oh, he got kicked out for smoking. What? What kind of place is this that kicks elderly people out? I decided I'm going to launch a campaign. I'm going to bring Dan back. I decided to talk to his friend Darlene to get more evidence for my case. So was Dan made aware of the consequences of his actions? Oh yeah, he knew he'd get kicked out for smoking. Well, did they give him any type of warning? Or did they just kick him out on the first offense? Oh, he got dozens of warnings. He didn't care. He just kept on smoking. So much for my campaign to bring Dan back. On the same visit, I noticed that the room next to Grandma's no longer has a name on it. Grandma, where's Walter? Walter, he died a couple of weeks ago. This one caught me by surprise. My throat grew tight and my eyes got salty with tears. Grandma, she just kept walking to her room. And for her, this is life. People come and people go. But for me, I never got to hear the story about his wife. I still go to the assisted living. And of course, I know the residents I saw last time or might not be there the next time. But in the meantime, we can play cards and watch TV and tell jokes and just enjoy the place where time slows down. So when my husband asks me why I go out of town so often, I don't know how to put all these emotions and feelings and thoughts into a single response. I simply shrug and say, I just like going. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark the ballots? Contestant, please ensure you can see the timing signal with a thumbs up. Timekeepers, will you please cycle your timing signals now? Contestant, could you please ensure you can see the timing signal?
Yes, I can.
Contestant number 5, please acknowledge you are unmuted with a good evening contest chair.
Good evening, contest chair.
Thank you. Sarah Gale Galbraith, Hope Relentless. Hope Relentless, Sarah Gale Galbraith.
3 years. 3 years was all it took for me to experience some of the highest of highs and lowest of lows. Those 3 years took me on the most significant journey of my life thus far, the journey of hope. It all began 16 years ago as I walked down an aisle in my beautiful flowing wedding dress with my tiara on. I truly felt like royalty as I was arm in arm with my handsome dad, and I walked towards my excited husband-to-be. We said our vows, we said I do, and we kissed. I had married my Prince Charming, and the hope of all that could be for our future together was exhilarating. 4 months went by, and I was young, newly married, and building my empire, working at Starbucks. And I returned a missed call from my mom on one of my breaks. I was met with a very frantic and distressed voice. Sarah, he's gone. Your brother, he's not breathing. He didn't wake up. Sarah, he's gone. I felt like my heart dropped out of my chest. My hope for family life was lost. My brother was my hero, and he was only 25. Nothing would ever be the same. He wouldn't be at family gatherings. I wouldn't be able to be a future auntie to his children one day. I was absolutely devastated. And I cried every night for the next year in the arms of my husband. Some years went by, and I was feeling like maybe being an adult wasn't as fun as I thought it would be, as I was still grieving the death of my brother and just dealing with the issues of life. But I was hopeful and expectant because I was 8 months pregnant. One morning, I was jolted awake by the ringing of my phone. It was 4 a.m. I thought to myself, who would call a pregnant woman at 4 a.m? And then I figured they probably thought I was up using the restroom, and they would have been right. I answered the phone, and it was my dad. And he spoke very softly and slowly. Hi, Sarah. Your mother. She had a heart attack last night. I tried to save her. I tried to resuscitate her, but it was no use. She's gone, Sarah. She's gone. My hope was gone with her. From that point, my pain went from something I felt to something I buried. I experienced deep discouragement as my heart began to harden. I felt weary and betrayed by life. The hope that I had known before that kept me excited and expectant for the future was not strong enough to penetrate through the fortress of pain that I had built. Have you ever felt like your hope was gone? Maybe you feel that way now. Just when I felt stuck in the quicksand of hopelessness, I felt a strong prompting in the core of my being. It was an internal conviction that shouted, no, my hope will be relentless. No matter what I see with my eyes or hear with my ears, I will choose to believe for the best and look for the good. My eyes may strain looking for it, but there is always, always hope to be found. My hope will be relentless. This prompting of hope was different than the hope that I had known before. It was stronger. It wasn't dependent upon circumstance. It was constant and incessant. It would prevail at all costs because it was relentless. 1 month after my mom passed away, I found myself in a hospital room with my husband in a headlock. I was in so much agony as I pushed that I thought to myself, this might be where I die in life. And then I heard it, that first cry, wow! Joshua David Osherberg Galbraith, my first son, was welcomed into the world weighing in at 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and he was gorgeous. And there it was again, hope, excitement, expectation for the future. In the span of 3 years, I married my Prince Charming, my brother died, my mother died, and I gave birth to my first son. My hope matured from temperamental to relentless, a hope I would look to again years later when my sister passed. The truth is, hope is everything. Without it, destructive behaviors exist, and we can even lose our will to live. This life is not easy, and sometimes it can feel like we just don't have what it takes, and like hope is just out of reach. And to that I say, don't give up. Do not give up. You are not alone. One thing that my journey of hope has taught me is that hope is not something we lose. It's something we choose. And may we all choose it relentlessly. Contest chair.
Thank you. May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Contestant, please ensure you can see the timing signal with a thumbs up. Timekeepers, please cycle your timing signal now. Contestant number 6, please acknowledge you are unmuted with a good evening contest chair.
Good evening, contest chair.
Thank you. Kelly Bradstreet, be brave. Be brave, Kelly Bradstreet.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Are you awake? Are you going to open your eyes? Will you recognize me? Be brave, Kelly. Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad, it's Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. I've been visiting my father now for 4 years in a home care facility. He has Parkinson's. My visits haven't always felt this apprehensive. They used to be quite comfortable. We'd play checkers and eat cookies together and have short bursts of conversation. They felt really normal and comfortable. At least for me. I don't know what they felt like for him. He always put on a brave face. He never complained. And he always wanted to make sure that show me that he was getting stronger by squeezing my hand extra tight. So I'd leave my visits feeling like everything was going to be okay until this last holiday season. He was in the hospital, in and out of rehabs and hospitals for 2 months. He had E. coli, MRSA, and COVID. It was torture not being able to see him and wondering if I was ever going to see him again. When my mom said he was going to get back to the home care facility, I was determined to be there the minute he arrived. My mom said, "I'm warning you, it's going to be shocking to see him." So I was a little nervous seeing him, like he was a stranger that I was going to visit. And I remember as I peeked around the corner, I was shocked. He looked like a Holocaust victim. He was so pale and thin. He had wild and bewildered eyes, and they were vacant, like he didn't recognize me. I felt so uncomfortable. I don't even know what I said. Some inane things like, "Hey, Dad, how do you feel?" Duh. "Hey, Dad, are you hungry?" Duh. "Hey, Dad, does it feel good to be back home?" So uncomfortable. I wanted to run and never go back. And then the shame set in. I felt like a selfish monster. What was wrong with me that I couldn't get over myself? That I couldn't be there for him? Why couldn't I think of what to say to him? He was my father. Why couldn't I be brave? Fellow Toastmasters, have you ever felt this way about somebody that was sick or dying in your family? Turns out, we're not the minority. We are a death-denying culture. We don't like to think about, speak about, or even acknowledge the fact that we're all going to die. But just because we're a death-denying culture doesn't make it right. We're robbing ourselves and our loved ones of precious moments, of meaningful conversations. We've got to be brave for ourselves and our loved ones. Just because they look different on the outside doesn't mean that they're different on the inside. Their spirit is alive and well, craving connection. With this in mind, the next time I visited my father, it went something like this. "Hi, Dad. It's so good to see you. Can I help straighten you up? Oh, good. I brought some music for you. Would you like to hear one of your favorite songs?" Oh, good. Put another log on the fire. Bake me up some bacon and some beans. Go on outside and change the tire. Wash my socks and sew my old blue jeans. Oh, I'm so glad you like that. Oh, good. Hey, how about if I tell us a story of one of our summer vacations? Would you like that? So remember that time we're driving home from Oklahoma and Mom says, hey, stop there. Stop there. There's a pig there I want. And we did, and she wanted it. It's this really big pig. And we're all thinking, where's that pig gonna go? And my dad, and remember you said, oh, I know where it's gonna go, right between you and your sister. We had to drive all the way from Oklahoma with that pig. It was like having a little brother. And when we got there, do you remember what happened? You picked it up and you dropped it and it shattered everywhere. All that for nothing. That is funny, Dad. It's good to see you laugh. Can I give you a back rub? Dad, I just want you to know you've always been my hero. You've always shown me to have courage even when things are rough. Even now for you while you have Parkinson's. You're so brave. I have to go now, Dad. But I'll be back soon. And I just want you to know, I love you. I don't know if or when I'll see my dad again, but when I do, I'm going to be brave. Because being brave means we show up for each other. So let's all do that. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Contestant, ensure you can see the timing signal. Timekeepers, please cycle your timing signal now. Contestant number 7, please acknowledge you are unmuted with a good evening, contest chair.
Good evening, contest chair.
Thank you. Shaban Moria, 2 birds, 2 birds. Shaban Moria.
I'm driving down this windy road heading to work when my phone rings. Hi, Dad. Yes, you heard right. I am looking for another job. Have you ever gotten excited about something and then the other person gets excited, so you both get excited at the same time? Well, my dad does not get excited. You see, he grew up in communist times, so taking risks for him is a no-no. Instead, he proceeds to tell me this old Romanian saying, a bird in hand is worth more than 2 in the bush. I'm taken aback. First, because I've never really heard that expression before. Second, because of what it means. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and anyone who had a parent, slap one of their dreams out of their hands. That was me talking to my dad. After 7 years of working in the same place, I felt stuck, fearful that I'll be in a joyless job forever, which made me want to take this scary risk and try to find something new. But with one swoosh, my dad crushed not only my excitement, but along with it, my confidence and the belief that I could find something better, something more fulfilling. What he intended to say with his bird's expression was that I should stay at my safe, comfortable job to keep that one bird. Simple words can be powerful, but even more is a belief in our capabilities, whether we think that we can or cannot do something. For me, after the discussion with my dad, the seeds of doubt and insecurity flooded my mind. Don't get me wrong, I did apply to 3 jobs, but didn't get a call back, which made me feel disappointed. I was defeated, disillusioned. I started making excuses. My job isn't that bad. I'm okay with one bird. Believing that I need something different was deceiving. I tried to tell myself. But was that really true? Don't we all want something more out of our lives? Don't you? For me, the desire of wanting a better job was still there. And the more the time passed, the more I wanted to scratch that itch. A whole year goes by when one day I'm sitting at my computer looking up some awesome LinkedIn suggestions. At the same time, my wife walks by and sees my puzzled face. This would be a great fit for me, but I don't know. My dad's whispers quickly came to mind. Stay where you are. Keep the bird. My wife looks at me with kind, loving eyes and says, baby, if you really want it, you first must believe it before you achieve it. Huh. She was right. How could I ever expect more out of my life if I don't even believe that I can do it? Which got me wondering, am I the only one who has these doubts and insecurities? After talking with my wife, I realized that we must make a conscious and deliberate decision to trust in our abilities, in our ambitions, in our aspirations. And the more we believe it, the more we can achieve it. From that point on, I've decided that I could get a new job. The newfound belief, it gave me the confidence to go after new skills, like project management, public speaking, personal development. The belief helped me to grow and feel worthy of a new job. Last November, I'm driving down this windy road heading to work when my phone rings. Hi, Dad. Yes, you've heard right. I'm looking for a job again. What? During a pandemic? Are you serious? I could feel his head shaking in disapproval. The birds quickly came to mind. Stay where you are. You can't do it. I gripped on my steering wheel, grinded my teeth, and growled, no, Dad, no, I can do it. The conscious side of me came roaring back. I believe in myself. I know that I can do it. Now, I didn't apply to 3 jobs. I applied to 30. And I got 3 follow-up interviews. And after 2 long, agonizing weeks of waiting, my phone rings. Hello? I'm trying to stay calm and collected. Yes, I understand. Thank you for letting me know. I hung up the phone and just realized I didn't get 1 bird. I got 2. I got the job. I'm jumping up and down, screaming. I believed it and I achieved it. I believed it and I received it. Fellow Toastmasters, my dad still thinks of me as his 6-foot, 40-year-old baby. He only wants what's best for me. And he's happy and ecstatic that I didn't listen to him and that I got the job. However, today, I don't let other people's insecurities stop me from going after my goals. And neither should you. We should not let fear hold us back and cling on to that one bird, but rather we should trust in our capabilities. And the more we believe it, the more we will achieve it. Do you believe you can get two birds? Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. Everyone, please remain silent while the judges are moved to the breakout rooms to complete their ballots. Ballot counters and judges, please rejoin the breakout room and wait for the chief judge to join you. Zoom master, please confirm when all ballot counters and judges are in the breakout room.
Madam Contest Chair, all judges and ballot counters are in the breakout room.
Thank you. Well, here's the fun part of the evening. Let's get to know our contestants. Contestants, I will interview you in the order in which you spoke. Rhiannon Allard, how long have you been in Toastmasters?
Madam Contest Chair, I have been in Toastmasters for 2 years come November.
And which club are you representing tonight?
I'm representing Platinum Toastmasters.
Fantastic. And what is your Toastmasters education level?
I am currently working, I have completed pathway level 4 in presentation mastery.
Now, you mentioned you cook and bake. If you authored a cookbook, what would you feature?
I'm sorry, could you please ask me that one more time? There's so many recipes running through my head.
Well, you mentioned you cook and that you bake. So if you were to author a cookbook, what would you feature?
Oh, I don't know. Probably a smorgasbord of different recipes that will go with just about any season, holiday, or theme that you can think of. I enjoy throwing a lot of parties, themed parties, and I seem to come up with the most amazing meals and appetizers to satisfy anyone's palate.
Well, that sounds like it'd be a challenge. So someone needs to come up with a party just to push your creativity.
They have.
And what is one piece of advice that you would give to a new Toastmaster?
The one piece of advice that I give to any Toastmaster is to take a chance, step out of your comfort zone, and know that there's no better time than the present. Because if you think too hard about it, you're most likely not going to do it. And I've had a lot of great leadership and coaches in our club and through my experience with Toastmasters, and I'm very, very proud of where I am today because of Toastmasters.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Please accept our appreciation for being a contestant today. Your certificate of participation will be sent to you via email. Anna Marie Harris, how long have you been in Toastmasters?
I've been in Toastmasters since 2018, off and on, and now I'm back full force.
Fantastic. And which club are you representing tonight?
Signal Peak Toastmasters in Casa Grande, Arizona.
And your Toastmasters education level?
I have a Competent Communicators Award.
Now, I have a feeling there may be a story behind this, but what is your go-to karaoke song?
My go-to karaoke song is a song by Tracy Chapman. It's called Fast Car. And it kind of retails the life of this young woman who seems to hit a lot of disappointment. The person she's with just isn't doing what they said they would do. And it touches me because in life, there's a lot of things that happen that may not be exactly the way we want it. But the song teaches us to go ahead and grab onto your dreams. And if you have to, get in that fast car and keep on driving, which means don't stay in a bad situation just because you feel you have to. Sometimes you have to have the courage to step out of your comfort zone and move on to something that's better, and your dreams can come true.
I like that. That's an awesome go-to. And tell us about writing children's books.
Well, I have 14 manuscripts that are finished. I'm working on illustrations on that for those. I have 2 that'll actually be available for purchase through Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and a lot of different carriers later this summer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And please accept our appreciation for being a contestant today. Your certificate of participation will be sent to you via email. Helen Chapman, how long have you been in Toastmasters?
Thank you, Contest Chair. I have been in Toastmasters since 2019, so about 3 years. This last April, I just celebrated my anniversary of 3 years.
Awesome. And which club are you representing tonight?
I'm representing Roadrunners Toastmaster here in Tucson.
Fantastic. Now, okay. I'm curious. Lego landscapes.
Yes, yes. So Legos, anytime I need to do a downtime and decompress, I love to get a box of Legos and just kind of put them together. It started when I started working at my now job. In between calls and chats, I would just basically work through the Legos, and it's a throwback to my childhood because my mom loved Legos, and she would often buy us boxes of Legos to put together as a family. So whenever I put one together, it kind of gives me that reminiscent of my old childhood days and working through a Lego with my mom. And so I focus primarily on Lego architecture. So I have a lot of different landscapes of like the San Francisco Bridge and New York's landscape, like the skyline of all these major cities. And so anytime the new year comes out, I'm looking on the website for the next skyline that I can put together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Your last favorite movie. I mean, that's just a way to build. I had to be curious. Why the last favorite movie?
My last favorite movie. I'm not quite sure of the question. My last favorite movie was, I mean, I watch a lot of movies, so I always get anxiety when people ask me, what's your favorite movie? Because I'm like, what genre are you talking about? Like, there's so many to name. Off the top of my head right now, I would say Life of Pi is probably one of my all-time favorite movies.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Please
Thank you.
accept our appreciation for being a contestant today. Your certificate of participation will be sent to you via email. Lisa Piven. How long have you been in Toastmasters, Lisa?
I believe I've been in Toastmasters about 4 years.
And which club are you representing this evening?
Intel Chipmasters.
And your Toastmasters education level, please?
I have completed level 2 of the leadership. I need to look at my pin. Leadership development.
Fantastic.
I think that's what it says.
So I'm getting a feeling that you kind of like mountain bikes. What
I
was
do
your
very much.
favorite mountain bike trail?
Oh, that's a terrific question. So many to choose from. Probably my favorite trail is in Durango, Colorado. They've got some amazing trails there. And there's a beautiful trail system. It unfortunately got washed out by some of the rains, but they have an amazing trail that hopefully gets restored one day called the Hermosa Trail that runs, I believe, between the ski mountain and Durango proper city itself. It's an amazing trail.
Sounds pretty amazing. And you must travel a lot. Where did you go on your last big trip?
Last big trip was to Greece, Santorini, Greece, and also Kuphanatia in Greece. Both amazing places.
Greece is beautiful. Well, thank you very much. And please accept our appreciation for being a contestant today. Your certificate of participation will be sent to you via email. Sarah Gail Galbraith, how long have you been in Toastmasters?
About 3 years.
And which club are you representing today?
Dobson Ranch Toastmasters.
And your Toastmasters education level?
I am working on level 3 of the leadership pathway.
Awesome. Now, tell me a little bit about the work that you do with married couples.
Oh, I love it. I love it. My work is actually called Hope Relentless, which was my speech. And it's just a life message through and through. And I work with couples and even, pre-married or married. And the thing that I tell them is just encouragement. Great job for taking the step to get help. And that a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And so many of us are going around existing, being married. We never learned anything about skills. We thought we were just going to live that happily ever after. And so I just tell them, hey, you're doing better than you think you are. You made it this far. And again, that encouragement goes a long way.
Awesome. And tell me a little bit about the lessons that you have learned in Toastmasters.
I've learned to reach out for help and mentorship. My goodness, I have so many mentors from my Toastmasters club. And I've also learned that people are just waiting to help you. They're just waiting. You just got to ask them. And they're waiting to help, whether it's become a better speaker, help you in business, whatever it is that you're interested in, there's people there that want to help.
That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sarah Gail, thank you. And please accept our appreciation for being a contestant today. Your certificate of participation will be sent to you via email. Kelly Bradstreet, how long have you been in Toastmasters?
I've been in Toastmasters 6 years.
And which club are you representing today?
Prescott 104.
And your Toastmasters education level?
I have finished the the leadership development level, and I'm working on my second level.
And I understand you like to hike.
I do.
Tell us about those great hiking trails in Prescott.
Oh, we have so many. They are sort of hiking and biking trails at the same time. And there's more and more and more of them. But I'd say Spruce Mountain, Thumb Butte is another really great one. We have P Mountain. We have fantastic hikes here.
You sound like you thoroughly enjoy it. What's going on in Prescott right now?
Well, I spent the entire day at what's called the Pure Imagination Concert Festival. One band after another out in the sun, beautiful weather all day long. This is a good season to be in Prescott. Lots of outdoor activities are happening.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, please, thank you. And please accept our appreciation for being a contestant today. Your certificate of participation will be sent to you via email. Hi, Siobhan. How long have you been with Toastmasters?
Hey, good evening. I have been with Toastmasters for 4 years now.
And which club are you representing tonight?
I'm representing Competitive Speakers of Phoenix.
And your Toastmasters education level?
I finished Persuasive Influencer, Pathway, and I'm working on 2 other ones.
Very busy then.
Yes. Practice, practice, practice.
Well, I'm curious, what is your go-to personal development book?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the best one that I've revisited many times is The Happiness Advantage by Sean Archer. There's so many nuggets in there. It's just full of good inspiration to just be better.
Absolutely, that is a great book. So we talked about mental fitness, but I understand you also like physical fitness. Well, do you prefer the gym or outside?
I do a little bit of both. My preferred mountain is Camelback right here, which I in Central Phoenix, which I like to hike twice a week. But then the big milestone that I'm about to embark on is hiking Mount Kilimanjaro in about a month or so.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, Siobhan, thank you. And please accept our appreciation for being a contestant today. Your
Thank you for having me.
Participation is going to be sent to you by email. Our judges, we're still waiting for them to come back. So we're going to take a quick break and play some music. 5 minutes. So we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll return at 9:30 p.m. That gives 7 minutes. 9:30 p.m. And welcome back. Chief Judge, do we have the results of the contest?
Madam Contest Chair, we have the results of the contest.
For the winners of the International Speech Contest, the Chief Judge has provided me with the results. In third place, Kelly Bradstreet. Congratulations. In second place, Siobhan Mario. Congratulations. And our first place winner, with a huge round of applause, Sarah Gale Galbraith. First place tonight, Sarah Gale Galbraith. Thank you so much. Congratulations to everyone. You are truly outstanding. And with this, I adjourn. This International Speech Contest is adjourned. And if you are at the hotel, hurry back to the ballroom. There's a treat in store for you. So get hurrying back.